So the NBA right now is going through the motions with the reffing issue. Just there's so many dynamics, there's so many layers to this. For one, they're trying to usher in a new generations of referees. Some are a lot younger, some might even be introverted, who knows. But it also looks like at the same time they're trying to appeal to the diversity of just having more female referees. And at the same time all this is happening, they're trying to tailor and tweak the NBA product to be very watchable on television, similar to the same way the NFL did back in 2017, where you couldn't really hit the quarterbacks as much. And they went through a phase where the referees couldn't really tell what was a catch, what wasn't. They had to clarify rules. There was a whole transition going on, but they were tweaking their product to result in a lot of high scoring games. And that's what the NBA right now is trying to do. And at the same time, they're dealing with, of course, the baby boomer referees retiring and the next generations up, which for the most part, some referees, who knows, they might be introverted or they may even interpret the game differently. But there's a lot of changes going in. And a lot of this is kind of brought into the forefront because a lot of coaches are approaching their press conferences just bitching and complaining. Let's look at the Raptors coach as he attacked the referees in his press conference. And my man Darko went in because the Lakers had ended up shooting about 23 more free throws than the Raptors, which at the end of the game, the Raptors only got 2 free throws. But let's take a look at what he had to say.
Players on our team as well. How's possible that Scotty Barnes, who is all-star caliber player in this league, he goes every single time to the rim with force and trying to get to the rim without flopping and not trying to get foul calls. He gets 2 free throws for the whole game. How's that possible? How are you gonna explain that to me? They had to win tonight? If that's the case, just let us know so we don't show up for the game. Just give them a win. But that was not fair tonight. And this is not happening first time for us. Scotty Barnes is going to be all-star. He's going to be the face of this league. And what's happening over here during whole season, I've been holding it back, it's a complete crap.
Coach, do you feel like you're getting any explanations at all? That offensive foul, did you see, like, get any explanation?
No, there is no explanation. They just come up there, they review and they see what they want to see. They don't want to hear us what we got to say. They don't want to hear the players. They don't just want to protect us. Over the game, they got 36 free throws, 23 free throws in the fourth quarter. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? How are we supposed to play?
Damn, 23 free throws. 23 free throws in 1 quarter. Sheesh. But the Raptors coach does come from a European background, and we kind of see the refereeing overseas is very different when the United States players go and play in those FIBA tournaments, because a lot of those refs, they actually ref the plays. They're not reffing the players. In the NBA, they definitely ref the players. If a superstar player is attacking the rim, he's going to get the benefit of the doubt. But overseas, we see a lot of our quote-unquote superstar players, they don't get those same benefits. That's why sometimes you find them losing to a Lithuania or just an international team filled with players that we never heard of, because the rules and I would say the overall basketball game remains true to its original form. But in the United States, the game is tailored and it's tweaked so you can see superstars kind of perform on an individual level, kind of like showcasing their games to the fans. So that's why sometimes we see our guys in Team USA struggle to perform overseas against certain teams, even though we have higher caliber players, quote unquote, that's marketed as all-stars. But when they go back overseas and play to the original rules and the officiating is more genuine, it's more true, where you have refs actually reffing the play, not the player, you see where the gaps come along. You see where the misunderstandings, the barriers come along. And I believe a lot of the frustration from the Raptors coach stems from this. But Mike Brown and the Milwaukee Bucks also had a very close game with the Sacramento Kings. And Mike Brown, I'm not going to lie, he kind of pulled the Pat Bev, pulling out the laptop and going over the plays that the refs had messed up on going down the stretch in the last 2 minutes. I've never seen this before, but everyone pulling out their Pat Bev best impersonations. Let's check it out.
Man, I know David Guthrie and Brian Forte, great guys, great officials. I don't really know Inte. well, but he seems like a good guy, and they're human, and they all make mistakes. And I just want to, Dip, let me see that, man. I just want to show you guys why I got kicked out of the game. Right here, this is in the this is in the third quarter with 1:28 left to go in the third. And right here, you can watch. Go back and watch. Fox barely puts his hand on Dame's hip. Okay, incidental contact. He didn't push him or anything. He barely puts his hand on there, and they give him 3 free throws. Now,
once again, right there, what did I say earlier? The refs are reffing the players. They're not reffing the actual play. You see, all these questionable calls seem to come when a superstar player is involved. They're giving a lot of benefit of the doubt calls to superstar players.
At half, we were down, I think, 19-5 in the free throws. 19-5. And I know that happens sometimes, but that's very frustrating when at the end of the half, from what I get told all the time, Malik drives, Lopez comes over and goes vertical with a forearm down here. Now, from what the NBA tells me, the rule is if you go vertical, you got to have 2 hands up. Because Domas has his hand down here a lot, and they call him for it every time, and they always tell us, well, you got a forearm here. And they said that tonight, they said the forearm could be here as long as it's not extended. So I don't know what the rules are in this situation. I need a clarification because, again, 2 hands up is what the rule is on verticality, but they were here and they said Lopez could do this. That's a 5-point swing. They take away the 2 free throws, and then Milwaukee goes down and hits a 3. And to end the half at 19-5, that's tough to deal with, especially when you're getting told different interpretations on a rule, okay? So now I go back, they call this foul again on Fox. Now, again, he didn't push him. They said it's supposed to be incidental contact. They give him 3 free throws. Now, watch this, right here. Fox comes off a pick and roll. The kid, Campaign hooks him, hooks his arm. Look at Fox's arm when he spins off of this. Hooks his arm, he almost falls. No incidental contact, he hooks his arm and almost.
See, if his name was Dame, they would have gave him the call for that. If it was Ja Morant, they would have gave the call for that. They're reffing the players, not the plays.
Falls, and there's no foul. And so to me, as a coach, I'm okay with, look again, boom, he almost falls. And that's at the 4th quarter at the 9:32 mark. I'm okay as a coach because the referees are human and they're going to make mistakes. But you just hope, A, there's some sort of consistency. B, there's some sort of communication between the refs. And the refs tonight, they were great. They communicated with me all night. But in terms of the consistency, you guys saw it right here. Dame coming off the pick and roll and Foxy getting hooked and almost falling coming off the pick and roll.
And also, there got to be some sort of accountability. There has to be some sort of accountability. That's where the league is really missing with the transparency.
And then on top of that, if you get communication and you get some form of consistency in the game, okay, then you can live with some things. You can live with it. But the consistency that I see tonight wasn't in my opinion there. And then I don't understand the rule. If the rule is you got to go vertical and both hands up, how can you take away 2 free throws when the guy got his forearm down here? Now, if they're going to change the rule on me and say, okay, the forearm can be down here and the other one can be up there, all right, then now I know it going forward. But that's not what the rule is, because we get it called on Domas all the time, and they tell us he's got to have both hands up if you want to go vertical. That's why I got kicked out.
And best believe, if you put Giannis in the other situation, he would not get called where he's just going to get 6 fouls and get kicked out of that game. Best believe that.
It for sure it was tonight, Slate. It was tonight. How can 19-5 from the free throw line? And like I said, hey, communicate. They did that. Have some sort of consistency. In my opinion, the consistency wasn't here tonight. Not only that, on top of that, I'm getting told, to me, a simple, basic rule of going vertical. I'm getting told 2 different things, and that is really inconsistent overall from the officials. And again, they're human. They're good people. They're going to make mistakes. But we can't interpret a rule two different ways. We can't be told one thing and then we say, well, there wasn't a lot of contact. Because then you go back and you watch Dame come off that pick and roll. There wasn't a lot of contact. The hand was on his hip. Okay, he didn't push him. He didn't extend it. The hand was on his hip early. And then you see Foxy come off and Campaign hooks him and he almost falls down.
Mike Brown, he killed it. I'm not going to lie. He killed it right here. But if you notice that these two games with the Raptors coach and also Mike Brown, they went up against two teams that were very highly marketed throughout the league, the Lakers and the Bucks. And both of these teams have two superstars that relentlessly go to the line all the time. AD and LeBron, Dame and Giannis. That's the consistency right there that pretty much stands out. But NBA retired official Steve Javie, who has over 1,700 games on his belt and has been reffing since the 1980s, gave great insight to what's going on with some of the officials, especially sometimes when they mess up on some of the calls that they make. You guys check it out. And again, he gave great personal insight to some of the struggles even he had.
My weakness was that when I did give a couple of technical fouls, my concentration was broken on my play calling for a couple of minutes. And I had to draw myself back in. And my boss showed this to me on my tapes. He would just sit there and say, "See this, you had a couple of technical fouls here. It looks like you got a little upset. And watch your play calling for the next couple of minutes." And it took time for me to get my concentration back. So it is tough. It's something you really have to learn. It's something that, since we're all human beings, we all have a level of maybe being able to block things out. Some people can block things out more than others. And I think that takes experience.
So right there, he's talking about the gap that some of the referees have for a moment, especially this season, where the players are consistently arguing with the refs over and over about every single whistle that they make. That's a number one complaint from the referees. The players are complaining too much. So when the players are going back and forth with the refs, and sometimes even if they did mess up a play before, there is a gray area in which the next couple of plays, some of the referees, sometimes they do mess up. And this is coming from an experienced official. And he's letting you know it's only a human thing to do. Sometimes their brains still gets wrapped up on the play that they messed up on, and they let the next few plays go by. So once again, keep in mind that the players are arguing with the refs a lot more, and it's pretty consistent from play to play. And also, the baby boomer referees are retiring, and there is no doubt a more introverted generation that's coming into refereeing. So them going back and forth with the players, it may still linger over their heads, and sometimes they do take it personal. As this season, we've seen plenty of superstar players get kicked out of games, and the refs are quick to blow technical whistles. And it's really been odd just to start off the season. We've seen a lot of guys get kicked out of games, and things are changing a lot, not only on the court, but off the court. And the league is being transparent about who's reffing these games, their experiences. They have reports out every night before each game. And especially with the gambling coming into play also, these referees are having impacts on these spreads. So make no doubt about it. There's a lot of implication here with these referees. And they do serve a large, I would say, piece of this whole NBA machine that's going on. Because with the gambling, things get even more trickier. But just going back to the refereeing, with this new generation of refs coming in, I'm not sure if the back and forth is going to work out. And the league may have to come down on the players with that. They could complain every once in a while, but every single play, when you see Luka bitching for every single reason, that has to get tiring after 4 quarters. And that could knock off some of the concentration from the referees. Because they might be like, I don't want to say they're nervous about blowing the whistle again, but they know the next time they blow the whistle, the same player is going to be complaining. That's a new tactic from the players. Every single whistle the referee makes, that same official, they question the call and they consistently have a back and forth. Especially if it's a superstar, they have the understanding that the refs don't really kind of have the cachet to kick him out the game because most of the fans are there to see that player. So guys like on Luka's status, they could continue bitching because they know the refs ain't really gonna kick him out. So it's a very interesting circumstances going on. We'll see how it plays out, but there's definitely a lot of transparency with the referees right now. But just on the consistencies that Mike Brown had referred to, it doesn't make sense if they're telling the coach a different rule than what's on the rule book. And when you have in press conferences and coaches just spending their whole time complaining about the refs while at the same time getting fined $25,000, Mike Brown $50,000, it's definitely not a good look because they're definitely getting way too much press over this. And it's adding more pressure onto these it's adding more pressure to these newly indoctrinated officials into the league. So Adam Silver, once again, he has a lot on his plate. And he's managing it pretty well, but there is definitely a transition happening at this very moment with the referees and with the NBA tweaking their product to make it very, I would say, enjoyable, very high level entertainment wise on television. They're tweaking the NBA product to be exactly that. And I think it's somewhat messing with the referees.